On this episode of the 5P Podcast, your host, Michael J. Penny, will be sitting down talking with you about how to achieve greatness. But a lot of people, they say, how do I even go about doing that? In this whole episode, we are talking about how to emulate greatness in order to bring it forward in yourself. So many people wish to become great at something. In order to do so, one must emulate other high achievers in their field of interest. How does one emulate greatness? What can you do to take action toward greatness? In this episode, what I hope you get out of it as far as a mission is concerned, we're discussing what to do in your daily practices to achieve greatness. During the episode, please take notes. Start forming positive habits today. It's something really simple. It's something I myself have tackled in numerous different subjects. So the intent is to provide methods for seeking out people of greatness in order to emulate their habits. And so to kind of break this down a little bit further, post intro here, it's very simple. When you look at someone who you wish to be like, which it's understandable. You're not saying, hey, I'm going to go out and copy everything that this person does. Okay, you're not saying that. What you're doing is you're grabbing certain key traits and other habits that they engage in order to then pick up those habits yourself. So when you're working towards greatness in any field, you must first find others who you wish to be like. But I offer this as an idea, and I explain this also in the show notes. If you haven't already checked it out, go to podcast.5paragraph.com. That's podcast.5paragraph.com. You can get all of our episodes, all of our show notes. Go to podcast.5paragraph.com. So if you're listening there right now and you want the show notes, all you got to do, just fill in your info real quick, boom, you'll get access to every single episode that we've ever done, plus the show notes on there. So let me give you an example here of what I'm talking about as far as finding somebody who you wish to emulate, all right? And we're going to do this with a physical skill set first. So maybe you wish to be like a boxer, okay, like a really great boxer. You yourself are trying to learn how to box properly, how to throw a punch, how to flare the heel, all of the other stuff, right? So you're studying Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Muhammad Ali, and many other greats that are out there to be named, but you're studying these boxers from their style and the different ways that they train and who they worked with as legendary trainers. And that's kind of a foreshadow of what's to come. When you're looking at these people, a lot of folks say, well, I would do what they do. And that makes sense to an extent. That's typically how we learn when we're very small. We mimic others. We do what they do in order to pick that up, the characteristics, trait, what have you. In this, what I want you to do is kind of dig a little bit deeper. Who are the influencers of the boxers? Who did they look at? Who did they train like? So I can give you an example. Mike Tyson one time, he's asked, who are your influencers? Who are the people that came before you and are great boxers that you try to mimic yourself off of? And he says the legendary Jack Dempsey. And if you haven't looked up the clip, Jack Dempsey threw one of the worst beatings of all of boxing history against Jess Willard, a phenomenal champion. But look it up, it's out there. When you study Jack Dempsey and you see how he throws punches and you see what he does inside of the ring, now you start to get into the head of Mike Tyson. Let's say, for instance, if you're trying to mimic that guy's fighting style. But the point being, young Mike Tyson is looking at Jack Dempsey. That's his influencer. If you want to fight more like Mike Tyson, instead of trying to be like Mike Tyson, try to be like Jack Dempsey. And this works with great minds and great spirits and great healers alike. You go to, say, for instance, another easy example, Abraham Lincoln. If you want to be like Abraham Lincoln, sure, go ahead, study Abraham Lincoln in his entire life. But if you want to be like Abraham Lincoln, Go out and study the primary sources that he's studied to understand truly who the person was. And you can do this with a whole bunch of folks that are out there. This is creating a mental mastermind group. If you're familiar with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is in our library. So if you're ever on 5paragraph.com, that's 5 like the digit, paragraph.com, click on library, check out all of the books that we have up on there. Each one of those we're going through and reviewing in their own right. We call our library Books for Bettering Oneself. The idea being is I need to focus on me. I gotta fix me first. Maybe there's stuff that I don't need to fix, frankly. It's just I want to get better. But I constantly do this, personally. And I picked up the habit because I read it in Think and Grow Rich, and I read it in other different texts that are out there. Who do you aspire to be like? Who do you aspire to be like? Write it down. What habits do they have that you may easily copy? What habits do they have that you may easily copy? And how can you mimic their training to suit your needs? So who do you aspire to be like? What habits do they have that you may easily copy? And it's a habit. You can copy a habit. You can't copy exactly what the person does, but you can copy a habit. And then how can you mimic their training to suit your needs? And I say training, not just practice. Training. Practice is a skill set, taking one shot. Practice is going and learning these different moves that are out there. Training is the all-encompassing whole umbrella of everything. It is practical application of the skill set. It's working with your trainers. It's working with those legendary trainers that you can find that are out there. And your legendary trainer might be a mentor in business. It might be a spiritual mentor or a guide, a healer. Because there are a lot of folks that we work with that are in healthcare, and they say my primary focus is on the healthcare side of things, not the business side of things. Much respect, totally understand. But some of the greatest healthcare professionals that are out there also have to apply that business side of things in order to get projects rolling. It can't just be, hey, we're always focused on healthcare. Well, there are dollars and cents that are associated with this. So, anyway, I move on. Find legendary people you aspire to be like, copy their habits, mimic their training, and you will become great. Those habits will just become a part of you. Oh, wow, they're so stunning in this regard. They remind me of these people of yesteryear. And you get to smirk to yourself because it's like, yeah, I'm channeling all of those people whenever I study their habits and then habitualize them myself. I'm putting that into my life. Now, lastly, remember that you are you. Your style may appear to be similar to some of the greats. However, you are you. And you make your own style up as you build habits and train in the same way as your inspiration. So when you're saying, hey, I want to be like Abraham Lincoln, you're not just going to turn out like Abraham Lincoln. Okay, there are other things that you're going to pull out of those resources that can help you. You're not in the same place, the same time. You don't have the same everything. You can't be Abraham Lincoln. You are you. But the point being, you're focused on creating your own style. And when you do that, when you habitualize what these other great people have done, they're going to look at you as your 0 to 1. You are an individual that steps up and out as a unique thing in their eyes when really you're channeling what all of the other greats have done and you're building on that. And that is totally fine. That's how it's done. That you don't just poof into existence. You don't just all of a sudden grab a new idea and then bam, it just happens. You know, when I say 0 to 1, the reference is from Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. Another great business mind. He was actually the primary idea setter and moving the business along at PayPal. And if you read 0 to 1, inside of it, they have the air quotes here, PayPal Mafia, and what all of these other different members of PayPal eventually went off and did in making billion dollar companies. Now, they play off one another's strengths. Okay, so the point being, let's say, for instance, you want to be a billionaire. Guilty. I definitely want to be a billionaire. Hey, I want to add a whole lot of value to the world with a group of people who want to add a whole lot of value to the world, which means that we are close-hearted individuals working in our own strength base and we share in core principles. PayPal Mafia. That's exactly what I see. They're all set in their individual strengths. And yet they all go off and make billion-dollar companies post PayPal. Helping each other to do this. But I love going back through and studying them individually. I mean, 0 to 1. If you're looking for a reference to where you could find not just Peter Thiel, but the whole PayPal Mafia, and then start going through their different texts, that's a great place to go. I'll say another book that's in our library, and again, this is Books for Bettering Oneself. You check out 5paragraph.com. Boom, we got the library on there. If you have not already subscribed to the podcast, it's right on there. Subscribe, rate, review the podcast, where we will be discussing more and more books. But in the library, you can see all of these texts that I'm talking about. So Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 is in there. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is in there. And I'll bring up another great name that I'm studying through and trying to find other additional primary resources on. A lot of you out there in the business world have heard the name Peter Drucker. And I like the Essentials of Drucker. It is a smattering of all of his most useful value add, call them ideas, methods. But I especially like it because it has a focus on small unit leadership and individual leaders taking those small elements and going and achieving success. It really does hit nail on the head with our mission here at 5 Paragraph. So, to wrap things up here, you are you, you're finding your own style, and in doing so, you're finding other people that you aspire to be like. What are their habits? Dig into what they do, copy those habits yourself, and then mimic their training to suit your needs. And if you do this, when you do this and when you start to go about it, at first you're thinking about it, and sometimes it's just a little weird. And like any other habit, you just start to pick it up, and then before you know it, you don't even realize that you have built in a lot of these things. And as you continue to grow, and you're kind of putting tools in the toolbox, those things are going up on the shelf, and you're learning more. It's important to take stock of how you've done this research to better understand these people. And what I do, last tip, I promise, a spiral-bound notebook costs about $1.50 nowadays. You can devote a spiral-bound notebook to studying one person and putting down information into just a basic notebook. And a lot of folks, they say, hey, where are you pulling this information? You study a text about them. You pull the primary sources that are coming out of that text, right? Go to the age-old bibliography. Make sure that it's got resources that they're citing in describing this person. So you do have to double-check the information that's out there. But that is the point. So I'll have a stack of books on a character of yesteryear that I wish to be like to achieve greatness in some regard. And, Peter Drucker being one of them. I have a notebook that's devoted to that so that I can write down little quotes and quips that were by him, where to cite it inside of different pieces of text, and then start to emulate a lot of the habits from a managerial perspective in order to convey it across to all of you fine folks. So when we're sitting down going over your business plan, or talking through on an advisor phone call, and having a conversation about where you're at in your own plan, you can see my primary sources where I'm pulling a lot of these habits out of. And I'll tell you, from a business planning perspective, what we do is we're great at planning. Some of us are great at executing. And then where the majority of us fall off as business owners is in the debrief. What did we learn immediately, and what can we fix immediately? And then the after action reporting and reviews that are coming in from different folks. It's difficult, and I understand that, but it's building those habits. And it's the same habits that we formed while serving in the military. So a lot of folks look at veterans and they go, man, those folks are locked on. Well, they think it's planning and executing the mission, when really what it boils down to, that I've seen out of the high achieving veterans that are out there, is they understand how to debrief, and they understand how to combine lessons learned so that they can improve their game. Okay, these are habits that are formed by people of greatness and have been handed down throughout the ages in the military. We're applying the exact same thing here. So, folks, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe, rate, review the podcast. If you want to hear more content like this, go check out podcast.5paragraph.com. Listen to all of our episodes. We also have interviewees and other team members that we've had on the podcast. And our focus with this is to help you folks out there who are learning the ropes or have been managers or leaders for many years. But it's just always great to learn other little nuggets. So we've got more books for bettering oneself over in our library at 5paragraph.com. Go ahead and check that out for more information on how to achieve greatness. Go check out those library books, books for bettering oneself. And I'll give you my spiel, last and certainly not least. 5-paragraph business plan. We combine proven business and military planning concepts into a powerful tool that's simple and easy to use. You can get a free copy of 5-paragraph business plan right now by going to 5paragraphbusinessplan.com, and 5 is the number, the digit, 5paragraphbusinessplan.com. You go there, check it out. See the text. You can get a free copy right now. So go ahead, go to 5paragraphbusinessplan.com if you want our book in order to get your plan in action. You will see we've got a whole lot of stuff that we can do with you folks. We can help you write your business plan. We can provide advisor support for you and your team. We can come in and do workshops. We've got e-courses that are available, and it's all directly focused on implementing the 5-paragraph business plan. So check it out, 5paragraphbusinessplan.com. Stay tuned for more informative episodes like this, for other interviews, and we're going to be talking through a number of the different subjects that you can find in our text, plus just wrapping on some, maybe a little bit of philosophy, especially considering current times and everything that's going on. So tune in. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review the podcast. You can find us now on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM. Anywhere that you like to listen to podcasts, you're going to be able to find the 5P podcast. Look up 5-paragraph. And we look forward to serving you here in the near future. All right, folks, until next time, take care and be well.